Philosophers have said that there are only 7 stories we keep repeating throughout history. Tonight, we're gonna pick one and tell it again. This is The Treatment, a podcast about stories with your hosts Billy Beck, Cody Beck, and Mark Lucas. The Treatment is filmed behind a live studio audience.
Indeed it is, as we sneak up on them with another story derived from our spinning circle of them. But before we get into that, Mark, do you have any newspaper reviews of our last film, Beowulf?
I do. This is a review from the Washington Post. This movie is great in any version. I don't miss what has been cut from the new version. The overall effect is so beautifully wrought, a few details aren't going to bring things crashing down. 10 out of 10 from the Washington Post.
See, believe it or not, journalists from the Washington Post were in the room when we recorded the original version of Beowulf, so they know what the differences are. Unfortunately, that recording has been lost to time, and you're stuck with the edition that we released on our last episode.
Which is still pretty good.
Pretty damn... I mean, a 10 out of 10 from WAPO.
Clearly.
So what's on the circle today, Bill?
On the circle today, we have, in real time, we have Ichabod Crane, the brave little tailor, the Iliad, the Snow Queen, King Midas, the fisherman and his wife, handful of spiders, and Dracula. And the wheel she spins, and the wheel she lands on what I can only assume is one of Cody's, King Midas.
It is one of mine. All right. Are y'all familiar with the story of King Midas and the Golden Touch?
I am, but for the sake of our audience, I'm going to pretend that I'm not.
So, you remember that fairy tale book that I've referenced several times that had the, puffy covers that I read a lot growing up because I didn't have friends? There was a version of King Midas in there, and the illustrations were, I believe, hedgehogs. But lovely King Midas, he was a man who did not have a wife, but he was very rich, and he was fascinated by money, and he would spend all day sitting in his vault counting all of his gold and coins and treasures. And somehow, I can't remember what the contrivance is, whether it was a genie or a magician of some sort, noticed his love of gold and said, "Hey, what if everything you touched became gold?" And he's like, "That sounds great." And so once he got the touch, he ran about the castle and touched everything and started turning it into gold. King Midas also had a daughter. I don't remember her name, but she loved plants and flowers and the garden. And so she would spend all of her time out in the royal gardens. And so the only thing that he loved besides gold was her. And so he ended up, when he got his magical golden touch power, it's going to be very interesting to discuss that, he went out into the garden and touched all of the plants and turned them into gold. And he's like, she's going to be so surprised and so happy. And then the next time he sees his daughter, she's crying because she's like, "Why would you do this? You've ruined all of my beautiful flowers and plants." And then he goes to hug her, to comfort her, and turns her into gold. And then he ends up cursing the power, and I don't remember exactly how. I think he cries, and it releases the gold spell, and he loses the ability to turn things into gold, but he's happy and okay with it because he has his daughter back. There's also, some bits about touching his breakfast, and he can't eat his breakfast, but he's so happy about the gold that he doesn't care.
Sorry, I zoned out for a minute. When does he open the auto repair shop?
I hate you so much.
So, there's just a couple of things that I want to add to what you said, Cody. Partly, I'm surprised you didn't touch on any of the Greek parts, like the really Greek parts of this. Like where he got his power from.
See, I'm telling this purely from memory of the Puffy book. So, please enlighten us on the Greek elements.
So, in Metamorphoses, Ovid says that Dionysus found that his old teacher and foster dad, the satyr Silenius, got pissed drunk and wandered off, and no one knows where the hell he is. Meanwhile, some peasants find this drunk-ass satyr passed out on their lawn, and they're like, "What do we do with this thing? Let's bring it to the king." I don't know. So they drag the satyr to King Midas, who's like, holy shit, this guy's like an important satyr. So let's set him up in a comfy bed and treat him really good. And for 10 days, they take care of Silenus. And then when Dionysus finds out that, oh, hey, Midas, you've been taking care of my bro, what do you want as, like, thanks? And Midas is like, I want whatever I touch to turn into gold. Some say that the end of the story is he starves to death because he can never eat anything because it turns to gold. And other versions that end with him after he turns his daughter to gold, he goes back to Dionysus like, take away this thing, I don't want it anymore. And Dionysus is like, okay, go wash in the river. And then when he does, all of the gold power washes out of him and goes into the sand at the river. And that's why the river Patroclus is so rich in gold deposits.
Huh. I'm going to be fully honest. I had no idea this was a Greek story. I had no idea this was an Ovid story.
Well, it is.
Neat.
There's also other stories about King Midas. Something about him having, after losing all of the gold, he stops caring about money, starts worshipping Pan. Something about getting ears from a donkey. But I don't think that's the story we're going to tell anyway. So I think the first thing we need to do is kind of drill down a little bit. What is the story of King Midas about? Themes. It's about something.
Did you finally watch Anaconda?
No. I've never seen any movies.
Good point. I'd be so sad if that were your first. Guy who's only ever seen Boss Baby. Wow, I'm getting real Boss Baby vibes from this movie. The moral of King Midas, as I've always read it, is be careful what you wish for. And it's always had like that with like an anti-greed tinge to it, of money isn't everything, and even if you have all the money in the world, it will cost you your loved ones, your relationships. You know, this is a lesson I feel like a lot of Americans need to learn. Maybe about 1% of Americans really need to learn that lesson.
So this is a biography of Elon Musk.
One thing that I kind of want to just kind of talk out, at least talk through, at least in the Ovid version. Midas takes care of this satyr that Dionysus loves, and to thank him for doing this, he gives him this power that he knows is going to fuck shit up.
Well, Dionysus is kind of a cunt that way, yeah.
And I'm not sure how I feel about that, especially in terms of a story I might want to tell.
So, I mean, basically every story, with the exception of some modern stories, Harry Potter, magic always has a cost. Because a lot of the time when you're talking about, like, bargains with magical creatures, it's always, like, with genies and fairies, traditionally it's, oh, you gotta be careful about your wording, you gotta be careful about what you say, because they're gonna twist it to make it the most uncomfortable thing ever. Or, like, bargains with the devil to get the things that you want. There's always, like, unintended consequences when you're dealing with the forces of magic, when you're dealing with the forces of the natural world. And so I think we can probably say that Dionysus may not see the consequences in the same way, especially because he is divine. And also, I mean, if you look at some of the other things that Dionysus is in, like, you know, fuck, what is that play called? I can't remember what the play is called, but it ends...
You're in town.
It ends with the king of the country that talks shit on Dionysus having his head cut off and his body devoured by his mother. So there's that.
Seussical the musical.
Close enough. So I think there are easy enough ways for us to be like, hey, I'm gonna give you what if we go with the idea of this divine being bestowing the power, whether that divine being is a god, a fairy, etc. I guess I should say supernatural entity. There's easy enough ways for us to throw a line in there that's like, hey, I'm going to give you what you want, but just so you know, magic works in mysterious ways, or there's always a cost that comes with magic, or something like that, that makes it clear that this maybe wasn't what the divine being intended, but this is just the price of getting this gift.
So a thought that's coming to me now, and I do know how I feel about it. I don't like it, but I need to ask. Is this another one of our God So Universe stories?
I'm not feeling it on this one.
Yeah, I don't think so. Because yes, it's technically a Greek story, but it has fairy tale or fable vibes.
I mean, because the way you just said, this super ultra being giving something to a lesser human and saying, be careful with this, because it will fuck you up. I could see us making a God So New story out of that, and I also am not feeling it.
Yeah, I'm just thinking it would only be on the bookends where we'd have those interactions. I think what really worked with that universe was the melding of our world with the alien creatures.
Yeah.
So
if we're not doing a God So Universe, then that, by the way, go back and listen to our episodes on Cassandra, Hercules, and Prometheus. And like and subscribe and smash that bell icon. If we're not going to do that here, what are we going to do? Do we just want to do a direct retelling? I don't think we normally like do it. I mean, I like doing that, but I think we as a group don't.
this one, who is the audience for a direct retelling?
Kids.
Exactly. So, do we want to moralize with this and aim it at children? Because I think that's kind of the direction we'd have to go if we went direct. Or do we want to aim this more at adults or a wider audience than just children and do the metaphor game?
See, I want to push back against that assessment that a direct straight retelling would be aimed at kids, because I think that we can do a just straight retelling aimed towards an adult audience if we want to do that. And that's the question I'm kind of still sticking on.
I'm not sure where that edge would come from. Do we do a version where if we did it for adults, it'd have to be the ending where he starves to death?
Yeah.
Or ends without getting his daughter back? I think that would be a necessity. We'd have to go a little darker on the ending to have the lesson learned easier. And I always thought the starves to death ending was kind of weak compared to losing his daughter. Like that's higher stakes. And that's what makes a movie generally for more general audiences or adult audiences over kids is that the stakes are higher.
Here's a thought. Instead of a direct one-to-one retelling, and this is going to be huge spoilers if you have not played Yakuza Like a Dragon and don't intend to play that video game, continue listening. Otherwise, skip until I say now, skip to here, to avoid Yakuza Like a Dragon spoilers. Ryo Aoki, right? The governor of Tokyo.
Yeah.
He's hyper successful at everything he sets his mind to, partly because he's able to twist both the legitimate and illegitimate halves of society, the Yakuza and the police, against one another. But what happens to him in the end? He gets stabbed by that Kume kid, who he himself twisted into a monster. Even through the methods of his own success, he brings about his own downfall. To avoid Yakuza spoilers, jump to now.
Okay. I see where you're coming from.
Hear me out.
Go ahead.
Professional wrestling.
Okay, and I need to hear you out now.
We need more than just those two words.
So, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, right?
Okay.
If you say so.
Where the fuck are you going with this?
They are two wrestlers that have been locked eternally into a battle whenever they go to any promotion. They're friends, and then Kevin betrays Sami, and then Sami goes to the hospital for several months, and then he comes back, and then they fight for 5 years, and then they become friends again and is triumphant, and then Kevin throws him off of a tower, right? Okay, so the thing that is triggering this in my head is that Mark said in the spoiler section, someone twisted someone else into a monster. What if the gold touch is metaphorical for taking advantage of a situation? And kind of like we did with David and Goliath, it's watching someone who is pure and good getting twisted by the world that they put themselves in. Because I am a sucker for the story about someone getting their comeuppance via the monster they created themselves. Because creating a monster doesn't mean you can control it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something that's resonating in my mind is the halfway decent Gatsby.
That
How what ends up killing Gatsby at the end is just like some guy
Yeah.
that at first seems like totally unrelated to everything else that Gatsby has actually going on, but he's always been there kind of in the background. So it seems like we're kind of coalescing around this idea of and I'm using big finger quotes, King Midas, whose magic touch isn't literally touching physical objects and turning them into gold, but that whatever he sets his mind to, his endeavors always succeed. But in the end, his comeuppance takes the form of someone he has, through his success, twisted, maybe like a protege who turns out to be more ruthless than him, one who out Caesars Caesar.
okay.
To present a different idea. I like that, but something that's percolating in my head is if we want to do an adult version, something that is becoming more common in the book world right now is retelling a famous story from the point of view of the women and girls in it. I'm thinking 1,000 Ships, which is a retelling of the Iliad by Helen, essentially. You've got the story of Clytemnestra, you've got the story of Iphigenia, like that kind of shit. It could be a retelling of King Midas, basically straight retelling, but from the point of view of this daughter who watches her father essentially lose his mind. And I think that would be another way to do a more basic retelling from a new angle.
I definitely like the idea of switching the perspective, having our protagonist not be Midas, but Midas's daughter, whoever that may be. That could work either in a straight retelling or a metaphorical retelling as well. So then, if we did metaphorical, would the daughter be the one who's so corrupted by her father that she is the one who turns on him by the end?
I want to say no. I think no matter how it goes, his daughter has to die.
Okay.
I think that it's almost more tragic if the daughter doesn't do anything wrong, quote unquote. Like, she's still just the victim of circumstance. Because the way that I'm kind of seeing this is almost like a little Knives Out. That character becomes the fall character for someone within the family. So I'm kind of seeing, like, his daughter is just kind of the victim of circumstance, and she's the only one still trying to do right by him by the end. And that's her downfall. Because as much as his downfall is his own hubris and his own thinking that he knows best, her downfall is trusting her father and loving her father to the end.
Kind of like a reverse gaslighting, where everyone around her is telling her the truth and she thinks that they're all lying. And then she, like, learns in the end the truth, but it's too late.
Not even that, like, she sees how bad it is, she sees how bad it's becoming, but she still wants to believe in the good in him.
Okay.
So I guess one thing we need to kind of nail down is where and when is this being said?
Yeah, because it's still real loosey-goosey in my mind.
I think do we want there to be any supernatural elements in this? And it doesn't need to be, like, a supernatural character. It could be as simple as, like, in The Hunchback of Notre Dame, where it happens at 2 or 3 significant moments and it's a flash of supernatural, as opposed to, like how much supernatural do we want in this?
I think if we're focusing on the daughter, we can hand wave the supernatural.
Okay.
It can be hinted at, but not explicit, or however we want to handle it, but I don't think it's important. I don't think we need to see the metaphorical deal with the devil that Midas makes, as long as we see an event happened that changed things.
Okay.
Whatever that event is. In my head now, it's modern, and he's on the phone with a CEO, but it's actually the devil offering him a gift or something, and then he does his stuff in business. I don't know why, like, I want to make the movie Wall Street now, actually.
See, yeah, I'm thinking, like, if we set it in roughly, not necessarily exactly modern, but, like,
80s,
90s, in like, a realm of high finance.
Oh, I was thinking, like, this week modern with, he gets real lucky on Kalshi All his bets start hitting.
See, so I'm thinking instead of magic powers turning everything into gold, it's he makes a connection with the mob. And that's the Dionysus moment that she only sees a shadow of.
You and I are on the same path, because I'm thinking, probably because you literally talked about it, I'm thinking like 80s, new money Japan. Not setting it there, but that's like the vibe that I'm getting, because I'm thinking maybe the satyr that they help is a Japanese businessman. And he has connections to the Yakuza or to the mob or whatever in the US. And that is like the metaphorical deal with the devil. And his business opportunities and stuff start going well because this shit is happening behind the scenes.
Right. And everybody is trying to warn her that your dad is crooked, that your dad's in the pocket of the mob, and she refuses to believe.
Okay.
And I want to say near the climax comes the point where the King Midas businessman character takes a principled stand against the mob that has been. I feel like the time span of this movie is probably going to be like decade, maybe.
Oh, yeah. We're going to go
like
that
we're going to
wide.
see time pass.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think we have to.
Epic scale, got it.
Almost like Irishman scale. Yeah. Like, we see a rise and a fall.
I was thinking we kind of have Godfather vibes a little bit.
Yes, very. I assume yes, because I've never seen any movies. But from what people have told me The Godfather is, yes. And near the end, our King Midas takes a very principled stance on something, and we can figure out what that something is later. And that's when the mob turns from him to the next guy. And I think the climax is when the next guy kills the king. But again, our focus character and our protagonist is the daughter.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think Midas needs to survive, and I think daughter needs to die. I think we need a King Lear here.
I don't know what that is.
So first thought, and then I will explain King Lear, it's daughter's husband. That's the new replacement. The King Lear, I mean, is the literal final scene of King Lear when Cordelia dies in his arms because he has failed to protect her during the war and her sisters have now killed her. But basically, all because he wanted to hold a dick measuring contest at the beginning of the play, all of his daughters end up dying. So I'm thinking that's kind of like the ending scene. That's him fading away into nothingness, holding his dead daughter, you know?
So, just thinking in terms of arc here, our King Midas starts out as a business owner, like a local franchise type deal.
And I think he needs to be moderately successful already.
Yeah.
Successful enough that he's gotten a taste for it.
Again, to make reference to Yakuza Like a Dragon, he has that cracker shop and a couple other businesses that he manages.
Do we want to be on the nose as it's a car repair shop?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I think it would be kind of funny for it to be a Midas.
I think eventually he takes over some, but that's like a later in the movie joke. A quick reference in a montage later. But maybe he owns like a couple of laundromats and maybe like an H&R Block type thing.
I would want him to be more on the mom and pop community side to start out. Like he's got a corner bakery, or he's the local florist, or something like that. Like he's really good at one thing.
I like the idea of him being a something with the dirt, because that gives a reason for his daughter to be very... Because I want her to be as invested in the business as he is.
Like, and I want to start the story with her, like, as a young girl.
Yeah.
And then she grows up into an adult woman by the end, if we're going decade scale. So if it's something like a florist, she helps with the arrangements when she's a little girl.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Have we decided where this is?
It feels urban.
It's urban. I was just kind of slotting it into big town in my mind.
Like, not New York or Chicago, but a big enough city. Like a Pittsburgh scale or Philadelphia scale. Generic metropolis Gotham, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Big town USA. The city that sleeps sometimes.
Capital City.
The Windy Apple. If you can make it there, you can make it there.
The city of Los Diegos.
Different movie.
Yep.
See, I think part of why it's sticking with me, I want his thing to be business. I want his thing to be like running and managing businesses, not specifically doing the work of the business, but managing and running them. You know?
Yeah, but I also want him to be a sympathetic character, and it's no one sympathizes with their boss. You know what I mean?
I do, but I think we can make it happen, because you're not going to sympathize with him by the end.
No, you're not. But, like, I agree that he needs to be, like, the management, the businessman by the end, but I think we need to, when we get introduced to him, he can't be that, like, he has to be lower level so that we can have a heart for him that gets broken later. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Like, I'm not saying the arc is him becoming a businessman, I'm saying he's a businessman by the end of Act 1.
And part of why that's sticking to me is that I can't quite fit my mind around why he would stop doing that to do the businesses.
So, I think I have an idea that marries the concepts. He has a small business. There's an empty building next to it. And he gets that building and puts another shop in it. And so on and so forth. And so he slowly turns into basically owning half of downtown.
Yeah, like at the start he's still, I don't know, I like the idea of florist. He's still like working the flower shop, but he's also at night managing the books and everything on the other side, and he just decides to hire somebody else to do the flower shop, and he takes over the books. And that's the moment, I think, is that we need to do the magic or whatever that gives him the golden touch, is that decision to move into managing and expanding his new empire, as opposed to sticking with the thing that he loves with his daughter. So that's when he meets the mob boss, and the mob boss goes like, hey, I got some workers that can work with you. I even got an accountant, he's really good with the books. And if you just, manage your two businesses, we'll make sure everything runs smoothly and your company will grow. You know what I mean? And that's how the mob gets involved.
I'm thinking the mob specifically gets involved. It's a late night, and a couple of hoods that we later learn are like capos are fleeing from like a jewelry store robbery, and one of them's been shot, and they just run into this door that's open, which happens to be his flower shop, where he's there late at night, and maybe his daughter's in the back room doing something else, so that we see, just glimpses of what happens. And these two hoods kind of run in, one is clearly hurt, and say like, Mac, you gotta help us. Can you hide me for like a little while? And he does, like, yeah, you duck into this shed, and then he piles some, dirt and pots in front of it. And then when the cops come by, what are you doing still open? Oh, we're making arrangements for tomorrow, and I'm checking the books. Well, have you seen these two suspects? No, sir, nobody's come by all night. If I see anything, I'll be sure to let you know. Thank you and have a good evening. And then the cops run off, to continue the search. And then a day or two later, we see the Don come by and say, hey, you did a real good thing for us yesterday, and I'm going to make sure you get paid back. This is a lovely shop you've got here. I bet you could do a lot of business if you just had the right kind of support. And I'm picturing this scene ending with just like the camera freezing on a handshake, and her saying, I didn't know what that meant at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want it to be more ambiguous, the help. I don't necessarily want to lean into this too hard, but maybe it's the two people that run in are not white, and that's why he hides them from the cops, not necessarily, Like, I want it to be a little, because I don't want him to appear to be a bad dude immediately, And I feel like guy with a gunshot wound coming in is a little strong. Like, maybe he has his hand wrapped up and his hand is bleeding, and we find out later that's from him punching through glass to get out, or something like that.
Yeah.
See, when I said gunshot wound, I didn't mean like gut. I meant like shoulder or arm.
Okay.
Like, Like I got to keep pressure on this. I can run and walk and everything. I'm not going to die from it. But if I get caught,
I still think like a cut from broken glass or something on the arm, that it could be innocent, but it could be malfeasance led to it. Our guy doesn't know, doesn't care, gonna help. And then we can escalate from there to like later, then maybe a later scene. The scene is mirrored later in the movie and it is a gunshot and somebody's dying out. And he, I don't know, makes another decision that enforces bad behavior in that situation, you know? Doesn't help the kid or something.
so looking back at the Ovid myth, Midas recognizes this satyr. He knows that this is Dionysus's like favorite guy. And he doesn't take care of him because he thinks like I can manipulate this to my advantage. He just knows this is somebody I need to be very careful with. Do whatever he wants. And then Dionysus gives him his reward as thanks for that.
Okay. So in that case, I want to add a moment to your scene, which is just where Dad's eyes flick back and he makes eye contact with daughter. And we see in that moment him make the decision to hide these dudes. And it's because he's protecting his daughter, not necessarily because he wants to help these guys.
There's ambiguity there.
Yeah.
Which I feel like the scene, because we're not seeing it from his perspective, it gives us an opportunity to put in some ambiguity and leave some mystery for what his true, intents are.
Yeah. Like, the visual that I'm seeing is girl sees commotion and, like, pops up, and her eyes and nose are, like, barely over the level of, like, whatever door or window she's looking through, and he sees her, and it's just, like, that moment of, like, I have a choice to make right now.
Yeah.
So he hides these guys from the cops, sends the cops on their way. When he sends them back out, does he say anything to the daughter?
And this would be before his meeting with the boss?
Yeah, like that night. Yeah. When the cops have just left, the hoods have gone out the back or side door.
I think he should say something about always helping people in need.
Yeah, like he needs to give a moral, a positive moral to the child based on the situation, whatever we decide that to be. I think that's the important piece.
Yeah, like I think he gives her a hug, kisses her, starts locking up the shop, and she's like, Daddy, why did you lie to those men? Why did you lie to the police? You said we always have to tell the truth. And he's like, yes, but sometimes telling the truth will get people hurt. And that's when it's okay. But you don't have to worry about that. You can worry about that when you're older. Just know that Daddy will always protect you. And sometimes it's more important to help people than it is to tell the truth. Or something like that. Because I'm picturing her was like 5 or 6 years old. Like old enough to be like doing schoolwork, but not real schoolwork.
Old enough to learn a lesson, like help people in need.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then, I like that. I like that. So then a day or two later, the Don comes by. How much of that scene do we see?
I like to imagine the Don would show up in like dressed to the nines, flanked by 2 guys, but would show up in the flower shop and order a very large order, and like, oh, it's a thank you to somebody who helped my boy the other night, and then basically speak in code and in riddles, and then she's in the back of the shop listening.
He places this order, and the dad sends her in the back to start filling it. And while she's doing that, I feel like I want to see this whole scene, but like you said, he's doing that really cool mobster thing of not saying what he's saying. And that's why we see the whole scene, but don't really get the whole thing. You know that you did a good thing the other day.
No, not even you. Like this is a thank you for somebody who helped out my family member the other night. Like he's saying, like that's what this order of roses or flowers is for. But he's also slapping, a fat stack of 20s on the counter, in addition to what he's paying for the flowers, and he's speaking in code to, like, so he doesn't even say, like, this is a thank you for what you did the other night, because you got to keep plausible deniability for the cops.
See, though, I want there to be an agreement that happens here, because ultimately, way, way down the line, this is where it begins.
Mm-hmm.
This is where the mob starts getting their claws into him, and what turns him into the king that will eventually fall down. And so I want us to kind of piece together how that happens.
What if he replies in that same kind of code? Like, oh yes, I'm sure that individual will greatly appreciate this large bouquet of flowers. And should the need ever arise again, we will be happy to provide more bouquets of flowers in the future for you. Like that same kind of...
No, hang on. So he orders a big bouquet of all different roses. Daughter, go back and start filling this order. Yeah, this bouquet is a thank you. Somebody did me a service. Well, I'm sure that they'll appreciate the kindness. My man Rocco says that this is a very good flower shop, run by some very fine people. Well, I'm glad to hear that Rocco speaks so highly of us. You know, it's a shame that such a good business is constrained to such a small shop. Maybe we can do some business together.
Maybe here he drops to the mob boss that the next building over has been vacant for a while and I'm trying to save up the money.
Instead of it's been vacant for a while, it's been for sale. And I'm trying to save up the money to buy it from its current tenants. And the boss says, well, keep saving. Maybe you'll get lucky and they'll offer you a discount.
There we go.
I like that idea. I also kind of want, again, I'm having that image of like the little girl just barely over like the flower arranging table, so you can just see like her eyes, pigtails, whatever. And I kind of want, like, as the mob boss is leaving, like turning around, he's like, you know what? And then he turns back around, peels off another like 100 or 20 or something, and puts it on the stack, and is like, for the little helper. I want it to be clear that they recognize immediately he has a kid, and that this is a threat.
She comes back out after the handshake. She comes back out with the flowers. What you said, putting 100 on top of the stack, saying for the little helper, and then he gets down on one knee to take the flowers and give her a sucker. And he calls her princess.
And then here, I think we do our first big time jump. And I'm imagining in the back of the flower shop is that door that swings both ways with the window in the middle, like they got at restaurants and shit. And like that's where like her workbench and shit is. And I'm imagining the little girl exiting the swinging door, and as the door swings back the other way, like a young adult version of the girl pops out and time has passed.
I don't think we can just jump that. I think there's a little teeny tiny bit more we need to do.
Yeah.
Before we can make this time jump.
Okay.
Specifically, I want to see them buy that property next door. And I'm not quite sure how to subtly imply that the mob has applied pressure to them to provide the discount he mentioned. Maybe when and this can be done in montage.
Yeah, I was thinking doing
as
this all
part
in
of that
montage.
time jump.
Yeah.
We can see them like shaking hands and exchanging the key. And in the background, the front window is smashed.
Okay, yeah.
And maybe even like Rocco is just there in the background, not commenting, but just like he's there.
I almost wonder if, since we're following her perspective, if this is something we return to later. Like this time through the montage, we see the because this is the montage of him building his empire, yeah? So I'm imagining like the first time we see it, we just see the broken window in the background. But then we see this again later, the exact same shot, and the camera pans over, and Rocco's over there, like, flexing his knuckles. And they've always, like, been in the shadows, and we see the extent of what happened to help build the empire. So in this sequence, we would see him open 3 or 4 different businesses as it grows, and each of them would have some sort of mob influence that we would see later, or learn about later, that helped open them up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That flashback trick, which I think we can get away with in this one.
I just looked up, the version that I'm familiar with of the King Midas story is apparently the Nathaniel Hawthorne retelling, in that the daughter's name is Marigold.
Okay.
Mary.
Yeah.
Mary Ann. Now, you know how I feel about giving our characters names.
Hate it.
First you give them names, and then you love them, and then I forget the next step. But it's probably bad. As long as we just stay with Mary Ann and Rocco. And come up with real names later.
Alright, so now we're into Act 2, I think. Right? Yeah?
I think so.
So this
Are we 3 acting it or 5 acting it?
3 acting it.
Okay.
I can't count that high.
This is a 9 actor, let's be honest. But we're going to simplify it to 3. So we time jump, we see him build his empire. So now he's got his flower shop, and he's got his used bookstore, and he's got a handful of laundromats, a car wash or two, a mattress place. I'm sure, what other stores stereotypically launder money?
Furniture stores.
Furniture stores.
Lamps Plus.
Pawn shop or two.
A restaurant.
Nail salon, did you say that?
I did not say nail salon.
Nail salon, restaurant, all this stuff he's now managing.
I think we can... Mary's first love is still going to be the flowers, but what she loves about it is the arrangement part. I think she could easily slot into the nail salon, because I'm thinking, like, artistry. She does the real bougie shit. Because she's not going to need a real job, but he needs something to keep her busy.
What if he uses her as a secret shopper and tells her it's like to make sure that everyone's behaving on site?
But really, she's laundering the money.
But really, she's, I guess, making sure that cops won't notice the illegalities.
What if he sends her away to college, and Act 2 begins with her coming back to the Empire with a business degree in hand, because she's not really aware of the illicit side of what Dad's been doing the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, this is for later. What if he has a business for her that is legitimate, and that's like his handshake deal with the mob is that you don't touch this business, and that's his principled stance later, is they want to get her involved and he says no.
She goes off to college, gets a degree, comes back, takes over the flower shop.
Yeah.
Because that was his original business, and that's the one that remains legitimate. Everything else is...
Yeah.
And also, like, all of his businesses are connected in the sense that everyone knows he's the owner of these businesses. It's almost like a franchise, and he has, like, a logo of his own.
You're going with Ichiban Holdings. I see that thread, which is totally valid.
I'm actually not. I have stopped thinking about Ichiban Holdings, but specifically I'm thinking of, like, his logo being like him dressed up in a gaudy, old-timey king outfit with, like, a crown.
Like, obviously his last name is King, so...
No, his last name isn't King, but he's called the King.
Yeah. And it's like King's Laundromat, King's Flowers. No, it would be Marigold's Flowers. Or Marigold Flowers, or something.
He's the real estate king of the city.
Yeah.
And every business has somewhere, like, a standee of him, like, this is a king business.
Yeah.
We take king bucks here.
Because everyone knows as soon as the king touches your business, it's about to flourish or you're about to disappear. And I want to say now that Mary has come back and is running the flower shop, she starts hearing all these things about her dad. And understanding what they mean, or starting to understand what they mean. But she doesn't want to believe. Like, it's one of those things where you hear the comments, but nobody says them in front of you because they're a little bit afraid of you.
The other thing is, we need to start introducing her to her future boyfriend.
Yeah. Is he in the mob, or is he a rando?
He's for sure in the mob, but she doesn't know that yet. Taking one step back to her starting to hear things, an idea is because the flower shop doesn't have that same standee that everything else has. Maybe a couple comes in to buy flowers, and we catch them, mid-conversation, and they say, like, oh, I'm so glad this isn't one of those king joints. Yeah, I think they're just laundering money for the mob. I never see anyone in that one restaurant on my street. Like, they just talk candidly because they don't recognize that this is also one of his businesses. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But then the guy that she meets, Michael Corleone. Mark, that's a Godfather reference.
Oh, okay. I thought, like, I don't know who he is. See, I was just thinking this guy is named in my head, I'm thinking this guy's Rocco. But also, it's a different Rocco than the Rocco from Scene 1. Because I cannot come up with other names. These are my associates. Rocco, and Rocco.
I'm thinking she either attends or interrupts a meeting that her dad is having with the, quote, managers, end quote, of the other businesses. So she's introduced to them all, and he's the manager of the one next door.
She surprises her dad with lunch and accidentally interrupts this meeting.
Yeah. Like, she almost catches them saying some illegal shit, and then he hushes them down. Or the mob boss is in the meeting as well and hushes them down. And
I like
Dad introduces everyone but the mob boss to her.
I like the idea of that, but I kind of want the power move of the mob boss being like, Mary, it's been a long time.
Yeah, like when he goes to introduce the boss.
Princess.
Yes.
He goes to introduce the boss, but doesn't know how to because he can't fake it. Oh, he's manager over at the laundromat. He's manager at the car wash. This is, oh, we've met before, Princess. It's good to see you again. Just, he cuts him off, recognizes that he's going to say something stupid.
Yeah.
I think Heartthrob isn't a manager of anything because he needs to start out low. And his ambitions to climb are, in the end, what puts him over the top. So I don't, I want to say he's like somebody in that room's I'm using big finger quotes, assistant.
What if he's her dad's assistant?
I kind of like the idea of him being like the guy from Goodfellas starting out at the place next door. And they like meet cute in the street one day. I'm imagining a scene where he comes in and buys flowers for a girl and she gets sad because he's buying flowers for a girl. And then when she goes upstairs to her upstairs apartment, because of course she lives upstairs, the flowers are leaning against the door and her name is on the card.
And we ignore the fact that he shouldn't know where she lives?
Yes. Yes, we do. Because that's a cute fucking scene and you know it.
No, I'm saying it is cute, but I like the implied threat in that scene too, is that she never told him where she lived.
Yeah.
And yes, it could be a lucky guess, but also, was he watching her?
Yep.
I think he can be an assistant next door.
Yeah.
But because I like the idea of him being lowly and his ambition is ultimately what kills him or kills her.
I still want to keep that scene then where she interrupts a cabinet meeting.
Yes, absolutely. That is a dynamite scene.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, but I think he should still be in there as like
maybe he's outside waiting outside in front of one of the cars because he's driving his guy.
Yeah. Maybe that's how they meet the first time, and then she recognizes him at the place next door later, because he makes some comment to her like, "Oh, you're braver than me. I wouldn't enter that room." And she's like, "That's a weird thing to say." And
yeah.
it's one of those other things that just bounces off.
He makes a comment about her actions. She doesn't quite get it, and then she meets him next door the next day or in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah, the middle. What else goes in this middle as time progresses?
I think we need some scenes with her dad to establish that he still cares about her, but maybe he's started to lose his way a bit. I think it's important that he even if we see him upset with other people, he's never upset with her. He never yells at her. And he does his best to, even though she's, an adult woman, he still kind of shields her from stuff.
Mm-hmm. Idea. And we'll mirror this. We'll have a scene earlier in the movie that establishes this, but I like the idea of one of their traditions. Every year, they would go to the state flower show. And they would go to the convention center, and they'd walk around the flower show and look at the flowers and have father-daughter bonding time. So we have them do that when she's 6, and put that in the first act. And then this time, the flower show is in town. And, oh, Dad, we can go. We haven't gone since I left for college. Let's go like old times. And it didn't even click on his radar that it was coming up this year because things have changed so much. But he still, makes some calls, cancels some plans, and we see him do that and struggle to do that in order to take his daughter to the flower show. But even then, something still wouldn't feel right. Maybe he's got a tail, and we don't know if that's police or if that's mob tailing him.
I also like the idea that there's a handful of booths that all have the king standee. Maybe 5 or so, enough that it's that's more than you would expect.
Or maybe not necessarily the booths, but because when you go to those flower shows or you go to a car show or one of those conventions, there's the stuff you're there to see, and then there's the third party. So maybe a drink and food stand is the king logo. Maybe there's some guys loading in some materials for a booth that's still setting up, and they work for King Moving. And, his presence is still felt at the flower show in a way it never was before, but he's not on any of the flowers.
Yeah, I like that. And I don't know if we want her to notice it or if we want the audience to notice it. I kind of think it's more impactful if the audience notices it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would think she wouldn't mention it, because she knows it's her dad's stuff. And I'm sure she's tuned in enough, we can even establish that she's tuned in enough with his wider organization that she knows that, like, the king brand is his. Maybe at the flower show, she asks him why he never put it on the flower shop. And it's because he opened it with her mom before she passed away.
I was going to say, do we get mom trauma?
Mama trauma. Mom was Marigold. That's why it's Marigold's flowers.
Yes.
And she could still be Marianne or some other variant of that.
The other thing we could do that would kind of pay homage to the roots would be the name, like, Danny or Danielle, tying into Danae, the lady that was seduced by Zeus as a shower of gold because her dad locked her into a tower because her son was going to be her child was going to be the downfall of him.
Let's save that, put that on the wheel, because that sounds awesome. What else do we need to build in the second act?
We're building the budding romance. We're building Dad's got real deep ties now.
We need another date. What do they do on their first date?
They go to the park. They go to the park in springtime when all the flowers are in bloom.
I think we need to establish his motivation.
I think he likes her. At the start, I think it's sincere.
Okay. It's not, we're not Triple H in it?
No, because we've got more time to pass. We've got another 10 to 20 years to pass yet, in which he's going to get more ambitious. And his ambitions will take over. And I think that comes with spending more time with Dad.
Okay.
Do they get married in this act? And do we want to have the third act be more that? Or do we want that to be like the transition between acts 2 and 3?
Ooh, I think transition between act 2 and 3, and I think she needs to have a kid before she dies. Because I want another father-daughter. I want this movie to end with another father-daughter with no mother.
You're evil.
I want another... Yeah. I want this to be a cycle.
Here's a thought that's occurring to me, and I'm not sure. I kind of like it. The mob wants the king to run for, like, mayor or city council or something so that they can have leverage over the political system of the city.
Does the mob come to him on the day of his daughter's wedding to suggest this?
No.
I mean, they could.
No.
Why is that significant?
So, Mark, there's a movie called The Godfather. I don't know if you've heard of this. Probably not, because you've never seen any movies. But it opens on the day of the mob boss's daughter's wedding.
Because anything you ask an Italian on the day of... Is it specifically his daughter, or is it any child's wedding?
I don't know. I don't know the Italian lore. I don't read myths.
I think... God damn it. I think that it's specifically on the day of the day of a daughter's wedding. You can ask as long as it's his daughter and he's not like the groom's father, he cannot refuse any favor or request that is asked of him on that day. I think that's the implication.
Yeah.
And that's why he's so upset with the whole "you come to me on the day of my daughter's wedding" vibe. But no, I don't think that, because I think that request needs to come. I think we need to see the wedding as the high point.
Okay.
And I think the crash back to reality needs to come immediately after that. And that's where we start seeing the real cracks.
Yeah. Okay, so as this act is building, we get her hearing some people gossiping about her father, and then we get her going to that meeting the guy, day with Dad, meeting the guy, like kind of alternate the mob stuff with the romance stuff, and that's going to culminate at the wedding. Which means we need a proposal scene in here still.
Yeah.
How does a man with limited mob ties propose to the mob boss's puppet's daughter?
I don't know if enough time will have elapsed on screen, but I think almost mimicking their first date. Or were you getting at something specific?
No, I'm asking the question, and I'm trying to think of ideas. Because at this point, I feel like he's a romantic.
At least a little bit.
I also think we need to see him and Dad start being friendlier. Because I think originally Dad needs to be real skeptical about it, and then slowly he wins Dad over.
Before the proposal, I don't know why, I keep having scenes where she walks in on men talking. And I don't know if I'm trying to make a point with that, or if that's just backwards thinking. But I'm imagining her coming home, and they're both there having a conversation, and the conversation they're having is, what are your intentions with my daughter?
Is that another one of those Godfather things?
No, that's just a scene I think
in general, the her overhearing men's conversations.
I mean,
There's not enough women in The Godfather for that to be a thing.
the thing is, there's not enough women in a lot of movies, so I'm pretty sure that her walking in on men talking is a good summary of most movies.
It's more an indictment of the character she's surrounded by, that they are trying to keep things from her. Which is, like, kind of a theme we've been building, is that Dad is trying to keep her safe from the thing he's become.
Dad is trying to protect her from the consequences of his own actions.
Exactly. So it's mostly the dad trying to keep secrets. And she keeps stumbling on Dad's secret meetings, and he's getting worse and worse at hiding that he's having secret meetings and that they're about her.
Yeah.
Kind of, I guess. Because I'm okay with it happening, as long as we acknowledge it here and reference that it's okay. I guess.
Yeah. Idea. Maybe not necessarily a good one, but this is the proposal scene. Like, her walking in, and she gets upset because her dad is obviously, like, trying to shoo her out and, like, not giving her an answer as to what they're talking about, and boy is sitting there increasingly flustered, and he finally stands up, and he's like, I was asking him if I could marry you! And that's, like, he's like, I was gonna do this whole plan, and it was gonna be this, and this, and this, and then...
Yes, but this is an argument they have later.
Okay.
Like, she walks in, secret meetings happening, she's noticeably upset that, like, now they're talking behind her back. She's not included in anything outside of the flower shop. Because maybe Dad says, oh, we're talking laundromat business. Don't worry about it, you know?
Yeah, she's like, I can help you. I have a business degree. I am running a successful business.
Yeah. But, like...
The jewelry store.
Yeah.
It's jewelry store business.
Yeah, that's better. And she gets mad, and she, like, storms out and goes next door to her apartment.
Yeah.
You know? And then he comes in, boyfriend comes in, tries to console her, and she lashes out, expresses her disdain, or her, not disdain, what's the word I'm looking for? Her disappointment that all the men in her life keep having secret meetings around her. She keeps walking in on things she knows she's not supposed to be hearing. She just wants to be included in the businesses. Like, I don't understand why he's being so secretive about the businesses. I know business, all that stuff he said. I have a degree in it. And he's like, that wasn't about the jewelry store. A jewelry store was involved, and he reaches in his pocket, and...
So here's a thought. Not that, it's her dad. Everything that you just described, except instead of the guy, it's her dad that she has this argument with.
Okay.
And he tells her it wasn't about the business, that Jabroni wants to marry you. And this is how she finds out. And she goes to the guy. He's surprised to find her, like, at his doorstep. And before he can say anything, she says yes.
Yeah, I like that. I think we could even have some fun with some dialogue in there. Like, he opens the door, he's like, what are you doing here? She just smiles. It's like, do you want to come in? She just smiles, nods, yes. And he asks her another question, yes. And then he doesn't say anything, and she says, no, yes. Points at the hand or something. He's a little bit dumb, doesn't quite get she's saying yes to him.
She knocks on his door, and he's like, hold your horses, give me a minute, I'm coming. She keeps knocking, I'm coming. You know, he's kind of like angry at this stranger who's pounding on his door. When he opens, what do you want? Mary? Yes. What are you doing here? I came here to tell you something. Tell me what? Yes. Yes? Yes. You dope.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. And then cut to outside. Creaking sounds. Yes! Yes! Yes!
No.
No at the end or no to my yeses?
No to your yeses.
That's fair.
I do love them both saying yes together as they hug in the doorway. And then I feel like a smash cut to the wedding.
I was just thinking, that was also my gut instinct, was smash cut to the wedding. But I also kind of want a scene in between where she and Dad have a conversation that could be a little bit heated about how every wedding vendor is under the King umbrella. And he's like, I get a discount. What do you want from me? So it turns out the entire fucking mob is there at some capacity.
I really like this smash cut from them hugging to, like, them at the altar kissing. I think that conversation happens between the wedding and the reception.
Okay, yeah.
Like, they Dad and daughter have a private moment where like she's changing into her reception dress or something, and he's like, "Are you having a good day?" And she's like, "It's a little more elaborate than I wanted, but yes." And then it kind of picks up into, I didn't even get to pick any of the vendors. You did everything. I don't really even feel like a bride.
They have this conversation during the dance.
Yes, that's good. That's good. I'm thinking she starts out with it calmer. Like, Daddy, I feel bad hiring all of your companies to do this. Because now I feel like you have to work at my wedding. And he can say, I'm not working at all. I've got the day off. It's just our companies. Don't you think it's a little tacky hiring your own guys to do everything at the wedding? Honey, we get a big discount. I can give you the best day of your life for a fraction of the cost. He's like, Daddy, the best days of my life are just days with you. This could have been nothing and I would have been happy. You know, like, have that kind of...
I want him to call her princess, and that's what upsets her. Because that's not his nickname for her. And that's kind of, I want that to be a moment where she realizes, like, he calls her princess as he happens to be, like, spinning, and she, like, makes eye contact with the Dawn in the background. And I kind of want that to be a moment for her that's, like, she knows at this point, and we know at this point, but we don't want to know.
Yeah. And it could even be innocuous. Like, I just wanted the best for my princess.
Mm-hmm. I also, this is something that can be done in costuming and makeup and stuff. I want this to be way more elaborate than what she as the character would have picked for herself. Like, I want her dress to be, like, let's say her color palette, if we have a palette for her, is like more muted and like, it's feminine, but it's not like super girly, but this is like puffy sleeves, princess dress, over exaggerated makeup, like that kind of thing.
If we want to mirror the first act again, when she's a little girl, we can have a scene where she designs a wedding arch for a couple. And it's basically what she would have wanted for her own. Like, she says outright, this is what I want for my own wedding eventually. And the wedding arch at her wedding is not even close to what she wanted.
Balloons and, yeah.
Or it could be just, like, too extravagant.
Yeah.
She's like, this one's my favorite flower, and I don't think too many here, too many there. Like, I like them spaced out like this because then, she gives a reason for it. And then this is, like, a bunch of completely different flowers, and it's way too many flowers.
Yeah.
I think during the reception there needs to be a bit where the Dawn, maybe in giving her a gift, says, like, I need to talk to your father. I've got big plans.
Does she know who the Dawn is? Like, obviously she knows he's important, but does she know who he is?
I think at this point she's starting to suspect. Because she has never been told what he does. Like, it's all...
He's old money.
Yeah, like...
She's only ever been given half explanations.
Or her question's been avoided.
Because I think she's one of the only characters that ever sasses him in any way. And that's because she does it. She has the benefit of not necessarily knowing who he is. Like, she's still respectful, she's still civil, but she's the only one that will push back on him.
Early on, Dad tells her he's the chairman of the Better Business Bureau. Or like the chairperson of the Businessman Union. Or something like...
Yeah, a local business organization or something like that.
Yeah. He's like the chairperson of the Chamber of Commerce.
Because the thought that I'm having is he dances with her, and says, after this, I'm gonna kidnap your father for a little bit. We're gonna have a chat. And she is, like, a little disappointed and is like, it's my wedding. Can't business wait? And he thinks it's charming, but everyone around them is like,
oh.
Yeah, like all throughout, like you said, she's the only one who ever sasses him. Because she doesn't fully grok that he's the Don of the Mafia.
Yeah.
Even her new husband tries to hush her, and she can say, like, I've known him my whole life, relax.
He's like, I've known him longer than you. He's practically my grandfather.
He's like a godfather to me.
Part of me wants the Don at some point to say, the ball's on this girl. I love it.
It's a good line.
Because I kind of like the idea that she's fearless half because she doesn't understand and half because she's refusing to understand.
Yeah.
And ultimately that's going to be the flaw that gets her killed.
Yeah. So now we're nearing our next time jump. And I think this is where we would explain, like, we'll speed through to her kids 12 or whatever.
Well, I was going to say, like, we should see the campaign for her dad running for some minor seat on city council.
I think that's what the third act is that escalation. That's kind of what I'm feeling.
Okay. Because I'm thinking more, the way I was thinking of the escalation is, it's more like, now he does have actual power, and now he's trying to get out from under the mob, and they won't let him. And so, like, they start losing things.
I was thinking he's campaigning for the seat and is told there will be consequences if you lose, and the consequences are his daughter.
Mark had mentioned earlier there being some sort of principled stance that he takes, and I think the stance he takes is, I think his newish son-in-law, and the Don want to bring the flower shop in. And he says, absolutely not. And they're like, it's such a minor business. It's not going to affect it. She's like, that's my daughter and my wife. You cannot touch it. And they're like, oh, we can't touch your daughter, eh? And that's where it...
Okay, because the other idea I had is if he's already on city council, maybe he's the deciding vote on a decision that hurts the mob. Either because he didn't understand it or he had a sudden, like, spout of morals.
Is something that would have affected his daughter in the shop in some way.
Yeah.
Like, it would have rezoned it, it would have done something. And they're like, you have 100 empty buildings, why can't you let us have this one?
Or it's like one of those super complicated bills that had something real minor in it that would have hurt her.
Yeah.
In a completely unrelated way, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Or he actually listened to constituents. Or maybe got threats from, other Congress people.
Yeah, I think that can work.
So which is it? Or do we escalate? Does he fuck up multiple times? And maybe the vote's the last straw.
So I think he runs for, like, city council and ultimately does get on city council. And son-in-law kind of takes over the business aspect.
Yeah, because dad's too busy.
Yeah.
I like that, because I think then we can bleed into son-in-law wants to bring in the flower shop.
Because he doesn't have that connection. He would be the one to want to do it.
Yeah. I also think, once our king gets a taste of actual power, like, for himself as opposed to just power that he's exerting through someone else, I think there needs to be a pattern of him always, if the choice is between his daughter or the mob, he picks his daughter. And I think that is ultimately what's going to end up being...
I had a really dark idea just now.
Mm-hmm.
His action that turns the mob on him. Because he's tired, because it's been decades now of them quietly asking in the background, get the flower shop involved, get the flower shop involved. Why is the flower shop not yet involved? It's like the one thing we don't have. After growing tired of decades of this request, he signs the shop over to his daughter. You can't even ask me anymore. It's not mine to give you. You're gonna have to ask Mary. They don't have to ask Mary if it transfers to her husband after her death, do they?
Well, the thing is, I think he should be like, oh, I think her husband should be like, yeah, totally, we'll give them the shop. And she's like, no, absolutely not. Like, this is a tribute to my mom. This is my hard work. He's like, what hard work? We've been bankrolling your dad for decades.
Like, we're not putting your shitty logo out front.
Yeah. And I think the fight needs to end with her appearing to win, but we as the audience recognize the threat in it. He has not given up. He's just ended for the moment because he knows the next step is...
He's lost the verbal argument, so now we go to the backup plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he can't convince her, he'll give her father an offer he can't refuse.
Yeah.
We could even early in the argument, not at the last line, because I still want to keep some suspense there, but early in the argument, he can even mention, we're married, what's mine is yours, what's yours is mine. I have a say in this business, too.
And I think at that point, she should be like, no, it's only my name on the deed.
It's my name on the deed, and it's mom's name on the window, you know?
Mm-hmm.
This belongs to more than me. It was hers, too.
Yeah. Don't you hear people? They're the only one that they still come into the shop because even though they know I'm his kid, it's the only shop on the block that doesn't have his shitty logo out there.
People have been coming to this flower shop for way longer than that logo existed, and will long after.
And you think the logo And you think that the logo exists without your father's approval? Without us bankrolling him? Are you crazy? You would never have had this level of success without us.
She drops the big fucking ledger on the desk. Flip through it. How many loans did we get from the business bureau? How many of our funds came from King? None. We've been self-financed as long as I've been in charge.
Where do you think your dad was getting the money to finance it? Just because it's not on the books just because it's not on your books doesn't mean it's on somebody's books. Because he needs to completely destroy her image of her father, but she's still, like, stubbornly clinging to it.
Then they'll need to have one last scene as well. Because I think she needs to confront him.
They're in a house now. It's not the apartment. I think she goes to the flower shop to cool off and her dad is there. And that's the scene with her dad. And
maybe this is the day before that council vote that he's going to flip-flop on.
Yeah.
Because she goes there and goes to the back room where she likes to sit and where it's quiet. And almost sits on him. Doesn't see him sitting there in the dark.
Yeah.
He says, Dad, what are you doing here? I come here to contemplate. And they can have a conversation about what they're contemplating without saying out loud what they're contemplating. But for him, it's the vote, and for her, it's her marriage.
Yeah.
Or the argument.
I want a parallel with that opening scene where you could barely see her over the edge of the counter. And, like, I want her leaning against the counter, and it's, like, full-grown woman. But we see from his, like, perspective, she's still his little girl. And I think the conversation needs to revolve around something about, like, I did what I did to protect you. Protect me? You trapped me. I don't know what's going on. I can't protect... I'm an adult now.
What happens when you're gone? If I don't know what danger is, how can I protect myself without you? And I think that would be what gives him the change of heart. And I think he needs to come clean then. And that's what... he makes the decision then. Maybe he even tells her, like, this is what's been going on. It's true. The flower shop got funding from the mob. They helped me. This is where we get that flashback scene. So when we bought the laundromat next door, it's because Rocco broke the window, threatened them, kicked them out. The car wash. We had a guy at the water plant shut off the water until he sold. The furniture store. We threatened to actually make them sell furniture if they... Yeah. And we get those flashbacks. And he says, you know what? I might piss them off, but I'm breaking ties tomorrow. I'm going to vote against the bill that they want to pass. I'm going to leave this with morals. Dad, they're the mob. That's dangerous. Something could happen to you. He's like, well, now that you know what you're facing, if something happens to me, you can handle it. You've never been involved. Your name's not on any of the books, any of the documents. The flower shop's in your name. You've been running it well. You will survive without me. Really mislead the audience as to what's going to happen.
I also want, like... as he's telling these, like, stories about all these bad things happening, I kind of want her to have, like, fun memories with these people. Like, with Rocco, she remembers him pushing her on the swings at the park. With the water plant guy, she remembers...
like, playing in a sprinkler with him on a hot summer day.
Exactly. Like,
he did the fucking fire hydrant.
Open the hydrant.
Yeah, he popped the hydrant for her on a hot day.
Yeah. Like, I want her to have pleasant memories that she's, like... struggling to hold both.
Yeah, and as we're showing the audience, Dad is like, you know Steve from the water department, flashback to hydrant? Yeah, he cut off the power, and it's the same shot, but him closing a valve instead of opening one. Rocco used to play catch in the park with him. Anyway, he was really good at throwing bricks through windows. and kind of hit him with that mirror.
Rock hard misdirection.
Yeah, so she's having the flashbacks. He vows to her that he's gonna pull himself out. Whatever happens to him. No matter what, he always loves her. She can protect herself now. She has, like, if charges come, they're like nothing's gonna happen to her. Her name's not on any of the illegal stuff.
Daddy will always protect you.
I will protect you.
I wanted to call back to that first scene where he's like, sometimes you gotta help people.
Yeah, and then tomorrow when I'm gonna vote against what the Dom wants me to vote for. And then I will face the consequences like a man, something I have been afraid to do for 25 years. And then we see the vote, we see pissed off Don, and maybe like outside City Hall, one of the Don's guys slips him a note or something on the street that just says, you will pay. And he just crumbles it and throws it on the ground and walks away with his head held high. And I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this scene, because I think we could do something real fun with the filmmaking here. So, Mark, I know you haven't seen The Godfather, but it's getting referenced a lot. There's a very famous scene where he's at a baptism, and while he's at the baptism, you see all these murders happening around town that he's orchestrated.
Yeah.
Oh my.
I know. Really good movie. If you ever choose to watch a movie, that's a good first one. It's a little long. You might fall asleep when they go to Italy, but you'll understand. I'm thinking something along those lines, where we see him walking home from the vote, and it's cut with her cleaning up the flower shop at the end of the day. And the third thing we're seeing is whatever assassin or hitman getting his shit together to do the hit. And it's only at the end of this, like, Dad is afraid of every, like, car that goes a little too slow, everybody in a phone booth that kind of, like, peeks around and looks at him. He's nervous. And we can even show earlier that these, like, he used to, like, wave hi to people when they would slow down. This was a thing that was normal, and now it's, like, sinister. And she's, closing the blinds, locking the doors, counting the till, doing closing end of day things. And then the last bit of it is she's the one who is assassinated instead of him as he arrives at the flower shop.
So I like that. I almost want it to be like door opens, bell tinkles, and she greets the person because she recognizes them. She's like, oh, hey, Steve, or whatever. And it's that fast.
Yeah.
It's like he's flinching at everything.
So I thought that it was going to be the husband.
Oh, yeah.
So the door, the bell on the door dingling as it opens. We don't see who's coming in, just she does. She can say, oh, hello, sound of a gunshot. Quick fade to black. Fade in on the husband walking out of the flower shop as Dad is getting back. And before, like walking out and starting to walk down the street, he's walking up the street. Husband, man, what are you doing here? And the husband just says, remember, we could have had a deal.
Was it worth it?
He keeps walking. Dad goes in. Was it worth it? We could have had a deal. Was it worth it? He keeps walking. Dad goes in. There's just feet in the back doorway.
Husband's coming out carrying his daughter. And this conversation happens with his daughter
the baby?
in his arms. Yeah, the baby. Or she's 4, or...
I think, yeah.
Young enough to be carried, but also old enough to kind of understand that something's happening.
Yeah. That's what he was coming to the flower shop to do, was pick up kid.
The husband?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happens is basically, what I'm imagining is
the assassin isn't the husband, but it's made clear in that last scene that he ordered it.
Yeah. Yes, because, okay, so that scene with the, her getting shot, whatever, I want this conversation to be happening between dad and husband with daughter in the thing, and then I want it to be clear that, like, in the background a little bit, we see the person go into the flower shop, and I kind of want, was it worth it? Then we hear, in the background of the mix, the gunshot. Because he wanted to make sure his kid is not in there when that happens.
Yeah, so was it worth it? Gunshot. Dad turns, runs in. Husband leaves with child in arms. Credits roll.
Yeah.
Okay, if we get the credits roll, is there anything else then? Or do we move on to casting?
I'm not sure if there's anything we need to... Because I really like the idea of this story. It's a real tragedy kind of tale. And I love the swerve of having the daughter be the one who dies. It's what makes it Midas.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you wanted to flesh out? Any other scenes? We kind of, like, hodgepodged it a little bit there, but...
I think we built a pretty strong movie.
Yeah.
Okay, then, if we're going to move on to casting, I've got one that I'm going to throw out right now from the very beginning, because I just logged on to IMDb, and I saw this face, and it made a reaction in me. For husband, Hero Fine Tiffin. HeroFiennes. Tiffin.
For the husband?
For the husband.
We had to age him up for the third act, but yeah.
Hero Beauregard Faulkner Fine Tiffin.
Oh my god, what an awful name, yes. Oh my god, he played Tom Riddle.
Yes, he's also related. That's why he looks so much like Ray Fine.
Oh, is he Ray Fine's kid?
No, he's nephew.
Ah, I was gonna say, Fine isn't his fucking
name. He's part of the Twistleton Wickham Fine family.
Oh my god.
Okay, never mind, that's too English. That's too English. I am...
He's the bad guy, it's allowed.
I want Jiggle in this. I want Joseph Gordon-Levitt in this somewhere, but I don't know as who.
Florence Pugh as Mary?
She's real good at playing tragic young woman.
Yeah. And she's the same age as Fiennes. She's a year older, I think, so.
Okay, that works.
I'm alright with that. She's got the fucking chops, for sure.
Yeah.
And now our king. Joseph Gordon-Levitt's not the Don, is he?
No, even though he's 45, he still looks too young.
It's like, he's not 45, he's only 8 years old. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Now that I'm on IMDb, I've looked up this Godfather thing you keep referencing. I really like this Marlon Brando guy for the Don, but this is a movie like 50 years ago. So, like, who's the right now Marlon Brandon?
Cody, you are going to hate me for suggesting this, but as long as he's not directing it, Kenneth Branagh.
Chalamet.
We already have one British villain.
Well, the big bad's gotta be our big bad. I think it's gotta be Kenneth Branagh.
Okay.
You're mad that it's a good choice.
Yeah.
It's a good choice, but I think we can do better. And by better, I mean fatter.
He will absolutely fat suit it up.
No, I don't want no suits.
I want like a David Harbour type without David Harbour. He worked with Florence Pugh on that superhero movie.
Ooh, hold on. What was his name?
Are you just looking up the cast list of fucking...
Yes, I am.
Das Malkian?
I was thinking Jason Clarke.
Jason Clarke.
But he's not fat either.
Oh, yeah. There is someone else from that movie.
What about for the Don, Benicio del Toro?
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I could see it.
Midas.
Is it... RDJ?
No, RDJ's too self-confident. There needs to be a bit of pathetic with him. Just a hair. Like, he's got to be a little, like, just in over his head. You know what I mean?
Casey Affleck? I don't know. Scratch that. I don't want to cast him. There's, like, a really specific vibe I want for him, and I can't put my finger on what it is.
Okay, this is a crazy one. And you're gonna say no. Vince Vaughn.
I don't hate it.
Because I would believe he'd be stupid enough to do all the stupid shit he does in this, but also still love his daughter enough to keep her out of it.
Yeah.
Let me see what he looks like now.
The name I was looking for was Stephen Root.
Ah, yeah. There's a level of, like, a little bit pathetic there.
Either one of those I could see doing it well.
Let me look up Root, because I'm not really feeling Vaughn. The guy from that Office movie I didn't see?
That guy.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
it works.
I love him for this.
Yes.
So, I'm going to say a name that I keep forgetting about, but I really, really, really like him, and I want us to be more aware of him just in general. I don't have any particular role for him in this, but I'm just going to say Andre DeShields. If you could look him up. Andre DeShields.
Did we cast Husband Guy?
Yeah, he was Fiennes' nephew.
Yes, he was the first one.
Yes.
Oh, this guy.
This guy. I think this may be one of, if not the coolest men in existence. I want us to just be aware of him in general. I can't think of anything I want him to do in this particular picture, but I want us to use him in something at some point.
He originated Hermes on Broadway.
I feel like we could stunt cast Rocco or the water department guy, but we did a decades epic with like 4 characters.
Yeah.
Oops.
I also want to stunt cast Ron Perlman in here somewhere. I just like Ron Perlman.
He can be Rocco.
He's the mayor.
No, Ron Perlman is Rocco. Andre DeShields is the mayor.
Ooh, I like Mayor Andre DeShields. You're right.
Yes.
You're right. Ron Perlman is old Rocco.
If that's it for casting, I have 2 suggestions for title, and one is real on the nose.
Okay, hit me.
I mean, they're both on the nose in different ways. First one is All That Glitters.
I don't hate it.
All that glitters is gold. Only shooting stars break the mold. We do a really slow indie acoustic version of All Star for the trailer.
Second is Kill Your Darlings.
That's a little bit too clever. I like All That Glitters.
All That Glitters isn't bad. Something simple like The King, I think could work.
I do like The King.
Alternatively, The Princess.
This is a bad joke, but we title it The King, and the poster is him dressed up like Elvis. We make it look like this is a musical rock and roll thing.
It's stupid. I like it.
Tagline, thank you very much.
Is the title The King and the tagline All That Glitters?
I mean, another really on the nose would be Fool's Gold.
Fool's Gold feels like a comedy title.
Yeah.
I do like The King. And for the poster, it's him in, like, the shitty king getup, but holding hers. And she's looking at the camera, but he's back to us.
I'm imagining the poster is the facade of the flower shop with the king painted on the window, like as like the window thing, and his little The King standee is next to it.
Ah. But, like, in front of the building next door.
Yeah, it's like there.
Yeah.
I like a Wes Anderson-esque facade poster.
Do you like Wes Anderson?
I said Wes Anderson-esque.
I actually think we can do better.
Than The King or for the poster?
For the poster.
Okay. What you got?
See, I'm thinking of something more like the Goodfellas poster, where on top it would be him in the middle, her on the left. No, her in the middle, king on the left, husband on the right, flower shop on the bottom.
Okay. I'm not mad at that.
Because this doesn't, the vibe doesn't feel Wes Anderson facade-y to me, as much as it does mafia crime thing.
Yeah, no, you're right. Just gonna look up the Godfather poster as well. Oh, it's just fucking Marlon Brando.
It's all black with, the hand.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the Goodfellas rip is right. I like that. This feels like a Christmas-ish release.
Something with the title The King around Christmas.
You're right. November.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving-ish.
Yeah.
You got Black Friday off of work, you go see a long-ass movie about mob shit.
Yeah.
I like it.
I think we did good.
All right. I do too. I think this is a very good, interesting crime thriller that we've put together.
Yeah.
This has been The Treatment, a podcast about stories. And we've been your hosts, Mark Lucas,
Billy Beck.
And Cody Beck.
and we'll see you at the movies.